Honeycrisp apples in a bottle. Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and in this video I'm going to do a review of the Yellow Spot single pot still Irish whiskey aged 12 years. Now it's called Yellow Spot, but after looking at the whiskey, smelling it and tasting it, it seems more like it should be called a Golden Honey Spot because it's got a lot of honey and it's definitely golden in color. Absolutely beautiful nose. But before I get into this, here are my notes. Yellow Spot single pot still Irish whiskey was distilled at Middleton Distillery. It's made from 100% barley, both malted and unmalted. It was aged for 12 years minimum in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry cask, plus made from pot still whiskey that was aged in Malaga, which is Pedro Jimenez and Moscatel grape wine. It's bottled at 46% alcohol by volume and sells in my neighborhood for about $95. Alright, so if you're not familiar with Malaga, Malaga is east of the Sherry region, the Jerez region, and it has different soils, but it's also along the coast, so it has a similar climate. So if you're familiar with sherry, sherry is made from the Palomino grape planted on Albariza soils. And of course there is Fino, Oloroso, Amontillado, Palo Cantado, and then there's Pedro Jimenez and Moscatel, but those, like Malaga, are on different soils and are used more for sweetening other sherry whiskeys, although they also bottle 100% Pedro Jimenez as well. But it's used more for adding sweetener to those other sherries, and only maybe 1 to 2% ever makes it into being Palo Cantado. So Malaga is very sweet wines from a similar climate on different soils. All right, now let's get into this whiskey. So color-wise, it is very golden. Actually, kind of looks like a Chardonnay that has aged 100% in New French oak, particularly say California. Very very shiny, very bright. You take shiny and you take bright and it comes out shite. On the nose, pronounced aromas. That really jumps out of the glass. A lot of honey, loads and loads of honey. I get citrus, I get a lot of orange. I get lemon, but I get honey crisp apples. Honey crisp apples. If you've never had a honey crisp apple, its name says it all. So you have your Granny Smith apples, you have your yellow apples and your red apples. If you can ever get your hands on a honey crisp apple, so they seem to have a very short season and shelf time here in California. But it's an apple that when you bite into it, you pick up a honey note, and that's exactly what I'm getting here on the nose. There is a distinctive malty character coming through this. Loads of vanilla. There are minor notes of some black fruit notes, a little bit of raisins, a lot of sultanas, golden raisins. For spice, I'm getting a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, and baking spices. All right, on the palate. On the palate, the nose is confirmed. This is really sweet. I mean, really sweet. I get the golden delicious apples. The citrus, I'm getting sort of a sweeter a lemon meringue, getting definitely a lot of orange character to it. Loads of vanilla and honey, particularly in the mid palate. And on the back end, those baking spices, a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg kick in. It doesn't have necessarily a ton of variation from the front to the middle and into the finish. It's pretty much what you get up front and get in the middle and into the finish. The main thing that sort of kicks in on the finish is extra vanilla and that little bit of maltiness. Texture-wise, it's got some thickness to it. It's got some heaviness to it. And on ice, it does really, really, really well. The vanilla pops out even more on ice. It's got sort of a creamy, silky texture to it. You're not supposed to say smooth for some strange reason, a lot of people think, but it's a way of getting around saying smooth. You say creamy, you see silky, right? Or like satin. And yet it's not thin. It's got some heft or some body to it. I would say this whiskey, for me, is much more an after dinner whiskey. You know, after dinner, you want something sweet, maybe something for dessert. That is where I would put this. Other whiskeys, you know, I might have them before dinner or just sort of standing on their own, you know, reading a book or just hanging out talking to people. For me, this is a play for after dinner. In fact, I've had this after you've had like really, really spicy dinner, and you want something to sort of counterbalance that spiciness that you have sort of lingering of dinner. This does an absolutely fantastic job on that. Now, what I'm going to give it in terms of a score, I'm going to go solid 90 points. Solid 90 points. I really, really like it. I think it has a particular play in terms of when and what occasions I would have it. I think it's well made. For me, the one thing is it doesn't have a lot of change in development from the front to the middle and into the finish. But one of the things I would say about this, some whiskeys change and develop a lot as you get from the neck and past the shoulders and into the body. This is pretty much, I would say, the same from the neck. So the neck pour versus past the shoulders is pretty much the same play. So you don't have to wait around or anything like that. It's good to go from the very first drop. An absolutely fantastic whiskey. Alrighty, if you are one of my subscribers, I want to thank you very much. If you're not yet one of my subscribers, but you like watching my videos, I want to ask that you subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I go live or post a new video. And if you are one of my Patreons, I want to thank you very much for becoming part of my little group. All right, that's it for this one. And until next time, cheers.